But I wanted to say this point. One of the issues with white supremacy is because white supremacy had different people that went around the world and they collected information about different things that happened. And what they did is that they brought that information back to Europe, back to different universities and colleges, and they brought that information back. But the information that they brought was information that was based around a narrative that they were trying to share, that they were trying to bring into the world, right? This, and this became a library. So a guy he grows up in Europe, and then he goes to Africa, he goes to different places, and he goes there and he takes, he looks at things, he talks to people, he looks at artifacts, and so he comes up with what history is and who was where and who was what and all these different dynamics. And so he took all that information, and he took that information and came back to the Western world. The Western world read this information and said, wow, this is amazing. And then they published it in libraries and universities, whatever, and that became a credible source of what history is. And what I'm saying is, one of the things that I've learned coming here to Eretz Israel, learning by different people, learning by Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu, learning by Or Sameach, learning by other chashuv of institutions here in Israel, I came to realize that the way that we get information in Judaism is not the way that they do in the secular world. In Judaism, we go directly to the source. We don't listen to third parties that are telling us about the source. So as it becomes from African Americans, we cannot trust any of the academic institutions to tell us about our history and our narrative, as they were designed to be able to keep us at an indentured lower class system state in America. And one of the mechanisms to do that was to cut off any knowledge of self and any knowledge of history, right? And so now that we have access to information, we're in this era. I'm saying, as a chief rabbi of North America, of this whole dynamic, in conjunction with Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu, who's chief rabbi of Africa, we're banning all historians, all people that are not connected to the indigenous people that we want to understand. If we want to understand any aspect of Africa, we only can deal with the indigenous people of that land and ask them the history and the oral traditions that they have. Anything outside of that has to be rejected.
Come on.
And this has been the mind control mechanism that has been used in North America to hold us down as people, is that we've been listening to people who have an agenda to keep us in a certain class system in North America of intellectual understanding, of self-esteem, of ambition. So in order to do that, you had to give us a slanted view of who we are. This is the same country who told us we weren't even fully human.
Come on.
So I'm saying that as a Jew, if you told me that I'm not fully human, I'm done. I'm out. There's no more conversations. I don't want to hear nothing you have to say. You are a liar. You've denied God. You've denied the Torah. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. So me, as an African-American male, who's really a descendant of the Igbo, right, whose ancestors were brought to America, now that I have wisdom and I have access to information, now I'm like, you know what? I'm claiming my indigenous heritage back, and I'm rejecting all forms of information outside of that. So if I want to understand who I am, and especially only African Americans who went through chattel slavery and went through these experiences, that we want to understand we only can talk to the Africans.
That's right.
We have to reject all academic institutions, all historians, everybody other than the people of that land who live there, who have an oral tradition. Rav Zion, I think you want to go into this. What you got before Rabbi Kish goes? I know you got something.
Yeah, I definitely want to say something. You know, with all due respect, when the European Jewish community wants to recount their history, they speak with the rabbinate in Eastern Europe. They speak with representatives from Poland. They speak with representatives from Germany. They speak with representatives from all over Eastern Europe, the UK, America, and many of the lands where they find their diaspora. Why is it when it comes to us, our history must always be told by people other than us. We have to change that. In the Torah, no one ever elected to tell our history. Our ancestors took that yoke upon themselves. It is part and parcel of African tradition that the telling and retelling of one's history happens indigenously, insidiously, from within. No one is coming from without to have a better plan for those of us within. The change that's needed from our community, as prophesied in the Torah and the Tanakh, will always come from within. So I say, with all due respect, the narrative on who an Israelite is, what that is, how we trace it through history, linguistics, culture, and history, that must always be told by the African, by the Afro-Semitic people that have thousands of years of lineage in heartland Africa, as attested to in the Torah and modern history.